Once again, as the #1 seeded Cavaliers. So we'll be tied, Jerome, again, a finalist for the 6th man of the each.
Their poise in that second half was impressive. This league is oftentimes a first quarter league. And let's see who can get off to a good start. Remember, +11 were the Pacers after the first quarter in game 1.
Tony Brothers, David Guthrie, Nick Booker, our terrific officiating crew. And that is Tyrese Halliburton picking up where he left off. He was 22 and 13 assists in the opener.
And he does it within the confines of their system. And some might say that he is their system because of his style of play.
How does Donovan Mitchell handle the scoring burden tonight? Well, encouraging start for the Cavs.
Yeah, he's going to have to be aggressive offensively, but I felt like they just didn't move the basketball very well in that first game, as you see. And offensively, it's going to be important, but I really feel like their defense is going to have to be infinitely better than it was the last game.
Mitchell misfires on a 3. Remember, he struggled from deep in game 1, just 1 of 10 from the 3-point line. Pascal Siakam, bit of a mismatch, and then it's Jerome able to collapse with the help. Mitchell on the attack, brings out. Kept alive underneath. This is Jerome probing Allen. Where they need a big night from all of these other players.
And early on here, you expect Mitchell to be aggressive.
Nesmith.
This is where they didn't move the defense from side to side. It created a lot of...
Indiana won game 1 on the strength of their 3-point shooting. Can that hot 3-point stroke continue for them as Nesmith misses in the corner? Indiana was 19 of 36 in game 1, G, at nearly a 53% clip. Allen, lead pass. Forceful set up by Strus.
And really set up by Mitchell. If you saw how that Pacers defense was loaded to him, the quick pass to Strus and that deep dive there by Allen creates it.
Miles Turner working on the perimeter, surrounded, double team. Nesmith able to beat Jerome with the step. Allen to help. Nesmith the force, missed everything.
That possession we did not see a lot of defensively in game 1. That was a great job of not allowing the Pacers to dictate.
Mitchell Euro stepping in the help defense. Felt really good about what his teams did in game 1, but that look just never changes. Poked away, Turner showing some of his defensive abilities. Here's Andrew Nembhard again, magnificent the other day. Here's Nesmith. So Aaron Nesmith now, one of his first 3 from deep.
Yeah, you talked about it. They were electric from deep in game 1, getting off to a little bit of a slower start here.
Nembhard the takeaway. Jerome thought he was bumped. Siakam open floor.
Good job. But this is the first real not forcing the Pacers to move defensively. And I think that's going to work to their detriment if it doesn't change.
Darius Garland didn't miss a ton of games this year. Played 75 games most of his career. Last year, in games that they were without both Mobley and Garland, Cleveland went 14-4. So they've been here before. As they handle things tonight. Unleashed!
For you, offensively.
Siakam out to Nembhard, catch and shoot. A little bit too much. So the Pacers 1 of 4 from deep.
Yeah, the Pacers, the ball's not popping like we saw at the start of game 1. Credit that, I think, somewhat to how Cleveland's come out defensively.
Mitchell tripped up the officials. Won. Well, they big shooting night from Steve.
That is what was missing. They came into game 1 leading the postseason in 3-point shooting as a team. It just was not there in game 1.
Max Strus, last 2 games, going back to the Heat series, just 3 of 15 from deep. Shot clock at 3, Halliburton, Nembhard, that's a deep 3, barely gets rim.
The Cavs, they're not allowing the Pacers to move the ball with quickness.
Ty Jerome looking for some early offense. A little bit of chatter about the number of shots, GA, that he had in game 1. He took 20 shots.
Create a lot of offense. It was a lot of self-willing, and I think they've got to get away from that and have a little more trust in their teammates.
Donovan Mitchell right around Halliburton, just couldn't put it down. Halliburton on the run. One of their first fast break opportunities sets the table. This is Turner. The rebound for Wade. One of the reasons Atkinson wanted to plug in Wade tonight, his ability to rebound and defend with some of that length. Mitchell starting to... As Sam Merrill now is inserted for the first time tonight for Kenny Atkinson. Here comes Strus, contact.
Playoff runs he had with the Jazz, Mitchell felt like...
Wasted no time, but Kenny Atkinson has talked about some of those early conversations, unlocking Mobley, maybe pulling back a little bit, and everything worked to perfection during the regular season. But Greg, as you know better than anyone, boy, it's just different in the playoffs. Now the injuries, how does Mitchell navigate all of that?
It's going to be important, but I tell you, this stretch here with all of the substitutions in also equally as important, because it was when they went to the bench in game one, the Pacers, that they start to really create some separation. And let's see if they can be the Cavs a little more connected defensively here to start.
T.J. McConnell into the game. You saw the drought for the Pacers. Turner, hard fake. Indiana, Greg has missed 6 straight.
Haven't gotten their running game going. And credit, a lot more dribbling to start this game from the Pacers. That's not necessarily the strength of their offense.
Both teams struggling from the field. Cavaliers 4 of their first 13. As
in this Pacers defense.
Mathurin picks up his second in less than 2 minutes. And Merrill rips one from deep. Cavaliers now 2 of their first 5 from the 3-point line. Turner lead pass, Halliburton. Ball movement like a hot potato for the Pacers. They just can't shoot straight at the start. Toppin.
One of the other adjustments I really like from the Cavs, they've gone with a Okoro on T.J. McConnell, who is a much better defender, especially against a crafty player like McConnell.
Halliburton threads the needle on Toppin, and Turner's pass for Toppin too high. That transition that was so surgical in game one, just a little bit off kilter here at the start for the Pacers. Beautiful pass. This is Okoro underneath, and he lays it in.
Adjust corners, and they forced him to then have to put the ball on the floor to try to create better spacing, and they've extended. I love using Okoro more. He's probably their best perimeter defender, and so they utilize him on McConnell. Now he's going to get the task with Halliburton.
Boy, Nembhard crafty, finding some daylight underneath. First field goal in more than 6 minutes for the Pacers.
And one thing, if you're the Cavs, too, make the Pacers a 2-point team. Don't allow them all that spacing and ball movement where they can pick you apart and shoot threes.
Here comes Allen trying to cock it back and down. He's going to...
Defense a little more with Mitchell and Ty Jerome. And credit Mitchell and Jerome making the early feed to Jared Allen, who has made a lot of good plays here in terms of his decision-making in the half court.
Nembhard trying to get Merrill onto his back, chisels his way into the paint, misses back of the rim. Thomas Bryant has checked in for Rick Carlisle and grabs the offensive rebound.
Occasion, he is doing it all here for the Cavs.
Pacers have as many field goals to spin the fake. To the bright lights of the NBA postseason.
And, you know, he's not really tall, but he's really wide. And he's got tremendously long arms, and that width gives him great leverage. Charles Barkley was a player like that. Was only 6'5" as a power forward, but he had such great leverage with the width of that body. It made it really hard for stretches.
What a difference in Cleveland's defense, creating tempo and controlling the pace so far as Toppin with a snatch. 7-point Cavs lead. Obi Toppin gave Rick Carlisle some really solid minutes in game one. Here comes McConnell. Nembhard. Travel.